Well, I think she's compromised. I think by going to Syria and basically backing a brutal dictator there. Russian-controlled media called her a Russian asset.
You got to keep in mind, Tulsi Gabbard is still lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. She commands the reserve unit here in Oklahoma and Missouri. If she was compromised, if she wasn't able to pass a background check, if she wasn't able to do her job, she still wouldn't be in the Army. And so Tammy is absolutely dead wrong on this, and she should retract those words. It's the most dangerous thing she could say is that a United States lieutenant colonel and the United States Army is compromised and is an asset of Russia. It's actually sad to hear her say that. When I heard her say that, I thought, I wonder if this is political because she's upset that Tulsi Gabbard left the Democrat Party because they went woke. Because I know they actually got along when they were in the House, and she knows Tulsi Gabbard. She knows her heart. She has a heart to serve, and so I think that's probably more politically motivated than it actually has any truth to it at all.
Kirsten Gillibrand. Monstrous. Ideas.
Well, when she was 22, she had...
No, she's an Assad toady.
What does that mean?
She is
What's a toady?
I think that I used that word correctly. Jamie, can you check what toady means?
Like towing the line? Is that what it means?
No, I think it's like a Toadie.
What does that mean?
I think it means what I think it means.
Toady. Definition of toadies. A person who flatters or defers to others for self-serving reasons.
A sycophant.
So she's an Assad sycophant. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's known about her.
Like, what did she say that
we have to look.
her?
I don't remember the details.
We probably should say that before we say that about her. We should probably read it rather.
Well, I have read it.
No, I mean, we should right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just so we know what she said.
Look up
I've had her
Tulsi
on
Gabbard.
Here before. I really enjoyed talking to her. I like her a lot.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I like talking to her.
Okay.
I like talking to her. I don't know about...
I think she's like the motherlode of bad ideas.
Whoa.
I'm pretty positive about that, especially on Assad, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong.
Well, my take on her was that I think as a person who's coming from the left, who's also a veteran and is very articulate and sensible and a woman, and in talking to her, we didn't get into Assad or any of those things, but talking to her about what she feels is wrong with the current administration and the way things are running and a direction she thinks things could go in, she has some very promising ideas. I didn't know about this.
But doesn't she also, did she ever apologize for believing in conversion therapy? I
didn't even know she believed in conversion therapy.
Am I crazy?
Does anything about her concern you?
Well, we'll have lots of questions. She met with Bashir Assad. We'll want to know what the purpose was and what the direction for that was. As a member of Congress, we'll want to get a chance to talk about past comments that she's made and get them into full context. So sure, there's comments that are floating out there, but we want to be able to know the rest of the story.
You listened to what Senator Duckworth said in describing Donald Trump's pick for Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. She called her compromised, someone who is wholly backing and supportive of Putin.
I think it's dangerous. Tammy, I got a lot of respect for Tammy, and I've known her for years. We served together in the House. But for her to say ridiculous and outright dangerous words like that is wrong. You got to keep in mind that Tulsi Gabbard is still lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. She commands the reserve unit here in Oklahoma and Missouri. If she was compromised, if she wasn't able to pass a background check, if she wasn't able to do her job, she still wouldn't be in the Army. And so Tammy is absolutely dead wrong on this, and she should retract those words. It's the most dangerous thing she could say is that a United States lieutenant colonel and the United States Army is compromised and is an asset of Russia. It's actually sad to hear her say that. When I heard her say that, I thought, I wonder if this is political because she's upset that Tulsi Gabbard left the Democrat Party because they went woke. Because I know they actually got along when they were in the House. And she knows Tulsi Gabbard. She knows her heart. She has a heart to serve. And so I think that's probably more politically motivated than it actually has any truth to it at all.
Can I just ask you to follow up on that? Obviously, you're close with Tulsi Gabbard, and I totally understand your reaction. Does any part of you want to see what either the FBI or the intelligence community, if they have a file on her, what it says?
Well, if they do have a file on her, we'll obviously see it. The thing is they don't have a file on her. What she did as a member of Congress was not outlined for her to do that. She had the right to travel. It was open. It was well documented what she was traveling for, and that was a full stop. She was a member of Congress when she did that. Now, people can make more out of it if they want to, but it wasn't hidden. It was in the spotlight. And keep in mind, she's ran for president since then. She also came back and served in Congress since then. So, and she's went through classified briefings since then. So there's no document, there's no background there for her to see, for anyone to see. She is a true patriot of the United States, and there's no reason why the Democrats are going after her other than the fact they're upset that she left their woke party.
I want to start with something that I think is also important about facts. because recently on your show here,
I was just going to get to that.
Good. Helping you out. Some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on.
They use that. I guess we're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing. Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why
you're on Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
You called her the queen of warmongers.
You double down, unfortunately, you double down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier.
We actually have the clip of Hillary Clinton, just to put this in context of what we're talking about. Let's take a look at that.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. That's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. It's offensive to me as a soldier, as an American, as a member of Congress, as a veteran, and frankly, as a woman, to be so demeaned in such a way.
But you called her the personification of rock.
So demeaned
She's a woman
in such
too.
a way. Well, I'm pointing to the fact that she has continued this legacy of being the world's police around the world, that has waged wars costing the lives of thousands of my brothers and sisters in uniform. And
What's your evidence to that?
To change. Well,
Are
you serious?
Let's hear it.
Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
I served in the war in Iraq.
Not you, her. You're saying that she's
exactly.
she's a warmonger.
I served in the war in Iraq that she championed. She championed a regime change war in Libya.
Did you not believe in that war?
I believe the lies that were told to us.
Well, so did she.
So it is indisputable to say anything other than the fact that let me just close this out, that Hillary Clinton throughout her career has led with a foreign policy of interventionism and being the world's police, going and toppling dictators in other countries that has caused such destruction and loss of life. I'm against that.
But obviously Bashar al-Assad is responsible for thousands of deaths and millions of people being displaced during this 5-year-long civil war. Did you have any compunctions about meeting with somebody like that, giving him any sort of enhanced credibility because a member of the United States Congress would meet with someone like that?
Whatever you think about President Assad, the fact is that he is the president of Syria. In order for any peace agreement, in order for any possibility of a viable peace agreement to occur, there has to be a conversation with him. The Syrian people will determine his outcome and what happens with their government and their future. But our focus, my commitment is on ending this war that has caused so much suffering to these Syrian people, to these children, to these families, many of whom I met on this trip. It's important for us to stay focused on doing what is in their best interest and what is in our best interest and doing what is necessary to make that happen. But they expressed a question. They said, why is it that the United States, its allies and other countries are providing support, are providing arms to terrorist groups like al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, Arar al-Sham, ISIS, who are on the ground there raping, kidnapping, torturing, and killing the Syrian people, children, men, women, people of all ages. They asked me, why is the United States and its allies supporting these terrorist groups who are destroying Syria when it was al-Qaeda who attacked the United States on 9/11, not Syria? I didn't have an answer for them.
Obviously, the United States government denies providing any sort of help to the terrorist groups that you're talking about. They say they provide help for the rebel groups. Tell us more about...
The reality is, Jake, the reality is, and I'm glad you brought up that point, because this is an often talked about thing by people like Adam Kinzinger and others saying, well, we've got to support the moderate rebels. Every place that I went, every person that I spoke to, I asked this question to them. And without hesitation, they said, there are no moderate rebels. Who are these moderate rebels that people keep speaking of? Regardless of the name of these groups, the strongest fighting force on the ground in Syria is al-Nusra or al-Qaeda and ISIS. That is a fact. There's a number of different other groups. All of them essentially are fighting alongside, with, or under the command of the strongest group on the ground that's trying to overthrow Assad. The Syrian people recognize and they know that if President Assad is overthrown, then al-Qaeda or a group like al-Qaeda that has been killing Christians, killing people simply because of their religion or because they won't support their terror activities, they will take charge of all of Syria. This is the reality that the people of Syria are facing on the ground and why they are pleading with us here in the United States to stop supporting these terrorist groups. Let the Syrian people themselves determine their future, not the United States, not some foreign country.
I think the Democrats must pick and choose their battles. There's going to be so much on day one for us to be appalled by. But I think when it comes to these cabinet positions and others, the Democrats should hold the line. They should make sure that these nominees are vetted properly, and then we can question whether or not they should succeed.
So, Congressman Crockett, who do you think that the Democrats in the Senate, your colleagues in the Senate, should really fight on?
I definitely think Tulsi.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't overlap with her, but former Democratic member of the House.
No, but she is a clear danger. I think when we're talking about whether or not we are going to be more vulnerable or less, when it comes to like our international security, I definitely think we've got to have really, really qualified people. I think some of these other positions, you know what, the agency can kind of run on its own. And even if it's somebody who's learning on the job, that's okay. But when you're starting to talk about our national security, something that we should all be concerned about, especially when we know that Iran supposedly had a hit out on President Trump, I think that this is something that we need to make sure that we focus on.
Because many of these people, including Tulsi Gabbard, have backgrounds that would never make them eligible for any government post, let alone for secretaries of these important government agencies. But I do think there are a couple things going on. First, I have to comment, when you put up all those faces, it was 1,000 shades of white. Have you noticed that? Remember,
I actually thought as I was reading them, we should certainly circle a few of them so that we can say this is the one I'm talking about now.
Yes, exactly. So here we have a little bit more diversity in the slide that you're showing. But the first one, which was the major characters, yes, it's 1,000 shades of white. Secondly, there is a certain level of dysfunction and catastrophe that will sink these people. What happens if there is a terrorist attack, God forbid? What happens when there is a pandemic? The problem with being extreme, irresponsible, ignorant is when bad stuff happens, there's no one to blame but you. So the good news is that these people may not get everything they want. The bad news is a lot of bad stuff may happen.
How will any of these individuals lead? Obviously, the number one thing we know, it's not their qualifications. It's their loyalty to the president. And we also know, just given the way the president has stacked the White House team, starting with Stephen Miller, who was an architect of Project 2025, that's really going to be the key, is will these individuals follow what the White House tells them in implementing the plans of Project 2025? But he's not the only one. Russ Vought, late on Friday, was named OMB director in charge of the budget. He was one of the lead architects of Project 2025. They were just not telling the truth when they said that Project 2025 had nothing to do with.
Russ led this office in the first term, number one. Number two, there are a lot of things in the Project 2025 that are just simply non-controversial. I mean, one of the things he's most passionate about is just reducing the size of government. A pretty standard Republican position going back decades. I think Trump is not getting enough credit here for building an ideologically diverse cabinet. When you got everybody from Russ Vought, who's very conservative, all the way over to the pick for labor secretary as a supporter of the PRO Act, and somehow Randy Weingarten is happy about it. I mean, what he has done is, which makes me squeamish, to be candid. And so what he has done, though, is put together an ideologically diverse group of people to sit in a room and help run the government. And that's kind of how he won. His coalition was kind of ideologically diverse that elected.
DNI. Department of National Intelligence. This is not a place for a Russian, Iranian, Syrian, Chinese sympathizer. DNI has to analyze real threats. Are we comfortable with someone like that at the top of our national intelligence agency?
Former Trump UN ambassador and presidential candidate Nikki Haley blasting Tulsi Gabbard, Trump's nominee for Director of National Intelligence. We are back with the roundtable. So, Donna, you heard what the Congresswoman said before the break. How hard are Democrats going to fight Tulsi Gabbard?
I don't know. She deserved to have a hearing. She deserved to be vetted. She deserved to have the most strenuous background check. If the TSA rumors are true that they looked at a suspicious pattern of travel, that will come up in the vetting process. Look, I served inside the DNC with Tulsi Gabbard. I know
she
her.
was a what? She was a co-chair?
She was a vice chair.
Vice chair.
We were both vice chairs.
Your colleagues. You worked side by side
She's
together.
a lieutenant colonel. I respect Tulsi Gabbard. I may disagree. I disagree with her choices. I disagree with everything in terms of where she's at now, but she deserved to have a very thorough background check.
I mean, she could get a Democratic vote or two, no? I mean, like Bernie Sanders.
She represented Hawaii. I don't know if she'll get the support of Democrats, but she should have a thorough background check, like everybody else.
But Rich, what about the way she's hammered Trump? I mean, not that long ago.
Well, I mean, look. I mean, Marco Rubio did too.
No, that was longer ago. This was while Trump was president. The Soleimani assassination, which Trump thinks is one of his big national security accomplishments, and a lot of people agree. She said it was unconstitutional and an act of war.
Okay, fine. That's what she said. But today she's saying something different, and she's resolved those differences. She's resolved those differences. Well, we're going to find out. Yeah. But one thing I would highly would suspect is that you wouldn't rise to a rank of an 05 lieutenant colonel if our intelligence agencies thought that somehow she was some kind of Russian asset, which if people are going to level those charges, they better be darn sure that they're accurate. and is a very
Nikki
dangerous
Haley
thing
didn't say
to do.
that. She said that it was sympathizing.
But it's all insinuated, okay? It's this cutesy, hyperbolic nonsense coming out of the media and the Democrats who refuse to accept the fact that almost a majority of Americans have accepted Donald Trump and Trumpism. I think it's time to give this guy a month of peace and let the process play out.
I don't know about giving him any peace, child. But what I will say, because you signed up to be the president of the United States, and we are definitely at a precipice in this country, and people were hurting, and they believe in him. So no, there should not be any peace over the next 4 years. He should be working every single day, not hanging out at Mar-a-Lago on, playing golf. He needs to be working and fighting to deliver for the American people, to make sure that these prices come down, but also to make sure that we're safe, because there were a lot of people that were concerned because of the wars that have been taking place around the world. And he is the guy that said, on day one, I will stop this war. I will stop that war. Now, I don't know what magic wand he has hanging out in his back pocket that's going to allow him to do that. But as of right now, when we look at literally the level of competence when it comes to picking people that are competent for these positions, there are a lot of questions to be had about this. So at the end of the day, yes, we will respect what the voters decided, and the voters did vote him in. We will not sit there and we won't try to...
Hang on. Respond to this.
Go ahead. First off is you can't have it both ways, okay? You can't criticize Trump and say, all I have is people who are blindly loyal to him. And then when you actually appoint somebody who has been critical of him, then say, well, that's bad too. You can't have it both. Like, he's appointed someone like Tulsi Gabbard and like Marco Rubio.
I mean, as I said, it's the most ideologically diverse cabinet we've seen in a long time.
Who have been very critical of him. You have to give him credit for that. He's willing to look past that. That's a good thing. Second, Democrats need to pick, I think, one. They've got 3 people, I think, that are questionable nominees. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Pete Hegseth. You got to pick one. Because if you go after all 3 of them, you're going to probably go 0 for 3. Right. Pick one that you think has the most problems, that are verifiable, and then do that. And lastly, I'd say as to what Ryan said about giving him some peace. I have no problem with that, but you got to give peace to get it. And I think what the president needs to show is to show that he's not going to be on the attack constantly against everybody, that he should bring some Democrats in, start to talk to them about the things where they agree, because there are places where they agree. Look, he and Bernie Sanders agree on a lot of things. So I'm all for having some peace, because I think we're all tired of all the other stuff. Amen. But you got to give peace to get it. And